Hey, what's up guys? Today at Axle Off-Road, we picked up this Ford differential. This is a 9.75 inch. We're gonna rebuild this differential step by step. We're gonna show you how to do it. All right, let's begin by having your 1/2 inch socket, put it on that impact of your choice, and zip that differential cover off. Don't set that impact down just yet. Next, we're going to take off the calipers, brake pads, and the rotors on both the driver and passenger side. Be sure to have a good hammer and crowbar ready, as these older axles sometimes can be a bit rusted and stubborn to get off. Okay. All right, let's move on to the carrier. Trade that impact out for a ratchet and socket, and you're going to remove the bolt that holds the cross pin in the center of the carrier. There's many different ways to do this next step. We found that just using a socket and a rubber hammer is the easiest way. You're going to give it a few good hard taps, and the cross pin typically will start coming out of the bottom. We also found that a ratchet extension works well. You just want to be careful when using a ratchet extension or a punch. That way you don't scar up or mar the metal. What about the air hammer? Would you like the air hammer?
Go grab the air hammer.
Here he goes. Starting already. Side note, be sure to roll the carrier so that the pin will come out and doesn't get stuck on the bottom of the differential. Okay, push your axle shaft in and the C-clip will fall out. And just like that, it's like magic. Now you can remove the axle shafts and set them aside. Yeah, I would say it's got some miles on it. What you think? Now, let's push the axle shaft in on the opposing side, and again, the C-clip should fall out. After that, you can remove the axle shaft. Hey guys, stay with me. We've made it this far. Next, you're going to grab your impact and socket, and you're going to loosen the bolts that hold the bearing caps on. Going to do the other one sideways. Okay, next we're going to grab our metal stamp and a hammer, and we're going to imprint a letter on the axle wall and the bearing cap. That way, when you put the axle back together, you can differentiate between the driver and passenger side. It's important to note, you want to make sure that you keep the bearing caps and the shims on the correct side together without mixing them up. So while you guys are getting enjoyment out of watching me struggle to get this letter stamped on the bearing cap, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button so we can continue making valuable content.
There we go.
Alright, you can go ahead and remove both bearing caps. Typically we stamp the bearing caps while the bolts are still tight, but in this case, as you can tell in the video, we made a mistake and had to stamp it while it was loose. Okay, now we're going to remove the carrier. What you want to pay close attention to is the shims that are on each side of the carrier. They're behind the race. You want to make sure not to mix these up because the shim thickness matters when you're going to be putting the differential back together. This is going to affect your backlash. Alright, so now we're going to remove the brake shoe assemblies and plate. There's 4 bolts holding this on to the end of the axle tubes. right, grab that impact and an 1.1/8" socket, and we're going to remove the pinion nut.
Damn, that baby was loose.
All right, grab a hammer or a bearing puller or even an air hammer and remove the yoke from the pinion.
This is our seal puller. We made this in our shop. It's got a long chrome handle on it. That way you can get some real good leverage. Get up under that seal, give it a snap, and it'll pop that seal right out. The ones we bought online were actually pretty junky compared to the one that Chris designed.
We insert the seal puller in the opening of the seal, give it a few tugs, it should pop out. Sometimes it can be a bit stubborn. Once the seal's out, you'll be left with the seal, bearing, and the shim.
All right, guys, we got shit to do today. So this finishes up the teardown of this 9.75 Ford differential. Stay tuned for part 2, where we rebuild the entire thing and show you step by step. Hey, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and we appreciate you watching. Thanks.